Landon, I can officially say this is far and away my favorite and greatest episode we've ever done, and you can appreciate why. How are you, bud?
Doing great, man. Just excited for today. This is going to be fun. A place that is near and dear to both of our hearts, maybe yours more than mine, and certainly the gentleman we're about to speak to, very dear to his heart too.
Yeah, one of the greatest managers in Premier League history, and certainly Everton history, an icon and a giant in the game of football. A father figure to me, no doubt, and Landon and I, our former manager and friend of Unfiltered Podcast, none other than David Moyes. Gaffer, welcome to the show.
Hi, Gaffer.
Afternoon or good morning, wherever you are in the world at this moment.
Good morning for me, yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Afternoon for Tim. Thanks for joining us.
Landon lives in sunny San Diego.
I live in San Diego, Gaffer.
It's fine.
Someplace San Diego. I've fortunate enough been out there once before, and it's a brilliant place. I love it, really do.
Speaking of the U.S. and with our teams back when even before it was in vogue, used to bring us to the United States for preseason tour for many reasons. There's so many favorable advantages to training in America. You're bringing Everton this year in the Premier League Summer Series. How excited are you and the boys to come stateside?
I'm hugely excited about it because you're right. We used to come to America nearly every year. We always love coming there. We love the chance to have some freedom during the summer as well for the players. But we always picked up good games against the MLS teams. And I think one year we played the All-Stars as well, which was very good. So it's been somewhere where I love. I've got a home in America myself, and I love coming there. So, and especially when I've had so many top players coming from America as well, it's been an easy place to come back over because everybody knows both of you, Brian, all the American players over the years we've had. So look forward to coming back in the summer, yes.
Gaffer, what is it exactly about? Because you obviously there's lots of places the club could go, right? And you, when you were first at Everton and now, what is it about America? Why do you like it so much?
Well, I think that the players are not, and I'm going to say this in some way, maybe not as recognisable, maybe then as what it would be. I don't think the American public are that bothered about the players, being out for dinner, having a glass of wine is what it might be if you're picked up in Europe somewhere here. And I think the players, when they come to America, they're excited by it. It's a brilliant country, lots of great cities in America to be visited. And I always found that the players really enjoyed going. We had the one that I remember, the one we went to Salt Lake City. Yeah. I think we were up, and we took them out for a run. The players could only run into the pitch before they were all run with the air. Really couldn't breathe. So lots of different things we found out ourselves every time we come out. It's been really good for us.
I remember hating your preseasons. I used to love coming to America, but hating.
Why you hated the preseason? Why?
I hate because preseason's terrible. No one likes it. I mean, because everyone's coming back and have to get their fitness levels up, and it's just arduous. Gaffer, when you and I have talked over the years, and your journey has been incredible from Manchester United to Spain, to winning the Europa Conference League with West Ham and giving them the revitalization that they needed, and back to Everton. But in the time you were gone, I know you and I spoke every now and again, and there was always these little rumors that maybe you'll come back. Because look, the club, for no matter how you slice it, wasn't run in the proper way. There was 7 managers in 8 years under the previous ownership. That's no way to run a football club. And so you were always kind of rumored to possibly come back. And Sean Dyche did a really good job with the team that he had, and he kept them up. And I know you respect him and how important the League Managers Association is to you, and all the camaraderie you have with the other managers. But you came back, and I just, knowing who you are, that was a huge decision. What made it right now?
Well, there wasn't really a right time for me, Tim. I had been asked by Everton. I've been spoken to maybe 3 times, 4 times possibly, to come back at different periods. And I actually say that I thought I was coming back on several occasions, and it didn't materialise. But I didn't expect Sean to go. I thought Sean was staying, and I think he thought it was the right time for him and the best thing for Everton, and he made the right choice there, I think, at that time. But so when I got the job, I'm thinking, my goodness, I'm so worried. If I take Everton down, this will be a disaster, because I've been here so long. And, and it's easy saying, oh, you'll be fine, it's all fine. But when you're the manager and you've got that pressure, you're saying, my goodness, if this happens, this will be catastrophic. It really will be. So that was the doubts I had. The doubts I didn't have was ending up at Everton, really.
Mhm.
The only thing I didn't know, Tim, was at the same club I left, had it changed so much that I was
Mhm.
going to be shocked by it. And I think it has changed a lot. I'm not shocked by it. I'm pleased with a lot of things I see. There's a lot of good things going on. But obviously, the thing that really matters is what's happening on the pitch, really, and that's what everybody judges the football club by.
Yeah, what's happening on the pitch is you're unbeaten and you're 10 games in charge, unbeaten in your last 9 Premier League games, which is a staggering statistic. You go through the door, and I had the chance to sit down with you and Jordan Pickford a couple weeks ago at Finch Farm, the training ground, and everybody I spoke to, Gaffer, like I could see this relief on their face that you were through the door, and not that you're the Messiah, but they felt that way. They thought we've been looking down for 3 years, scared to death, and you come through the door, and it's like this is a man who gets the soul of this club, who everybody basically has to listen to, because he understands it. What was the like? What was you're going in there? You're so experienced, but it's still like the first day at school again. What you looked at the club, you knew the team, you knew the task. What was the first thing that you thought? These are the 2 or 3 things I have to get right in week 1 in order to make this thing a success.
I had to make sure I connected with the supporters once again,
Mm.
because I left the club in a great place, and they left me. Had a great reception when I left here at Everton. It was fantastic, and probably the right time for both parties, Tim, at the time.
Hmm.
I have to say that I think coming back and getting the sort of support I've had
Yeah.
from the Evertonians has probably been the biggest thing, because obviously they could have felt different about me.
Hmm.
But the minute I felt as if the supporters were with us, I thought the players have joined on board as well. And I've got to say the games at Goodison in recent weeks have been fantastic. The atmosphere's been great. You can sense that they're beginning to. No, I talk about the people, Scott, but I can sort of sense that the people are beginning to walk the streets again. Maybe for a long time they weren't walking the streets because
Mm.
a bit embarrassed by the whole situation. But look, we've got a long way to go. It's a great run we're on at the moment. The boys are doing fabulously well, but it's still only an early start. And really, I'm sort of pushing them to say, every week we're going to have to do 1% better. If that's
Hmm.
all, we're all going to have to do something which makes us just get that little bit better every week. And
Yeah.
look, once you have a great group of players, a great team spirit, it can carry you a long way. And first of all, I've got to get the players back believing that we can do some special things.
Yeah.
Gaffer, I want to dig into that a little bit because we're on the back here of where you obviously played for the national team for America, and we just went through a really bad week where we lost in Nations League to Panama in the semifinals and then Canada in the third place game, and 2 really poor performances. Not football wise, just character wise, really poor performances. And can you talk through your evolution? Because when I walked in the door the first time at Everton, we're still a relatively young footballing country, right? And I had never seen a manager so detailed in everything they do. And so it was eye opening for me, right? And I realized quickly, okay, I got to get on board with this. But the reason you could be so detailed in that way is because you had control of the locker room and the team, and the players were going to show up and play every week. And the part of that was Tim and
Hmm.
Phil and Tim Cahill and
Yeah,
all the leaders who kept everybody together. But we're
yeah,
going through a period in US soccer now where it's a little bit too much about the football and we've lost our soul
mm,
and our spirit about just fighting and going. And have you evolved a lot in that way as far as the footballs come? Because obviously when you walk through the door, things changed. Right.
yeah,
And that's not because all of a sudden you spent 4 hours watching film. It's because there's something about the culture back in the players.
yeah. Look, one thing, Landon, we had, and you became part of it as well, was the culture we've had at Everton over the years was colossal. But the people you named, for example, whether it be Tim, whether it be Tim Cahill, whether it had been, Phil Neville, whether it had been, Phil Jagielka, Leighton Baines, you could go on and on with all the players. They had a real togetherness, but they were tough with each other. They weren't
Yeah.
going to let each other off. If you're asking about management now in London, you'll understand a bit about this. I think there's a completely different culture. I could dig the players out and they would know that it wasn't personal. The players would dig each other out and they would know it wasn't personal. I think now you're nearly feared to fear is a Scottish word. You're frightened to raise your voice at times in case you think that you're upsetting people, or they're going to go to one of their agents who will tell their psychologist, who will tell somebody else, and before you know it, you have a line of people there. But I've got to say, the one thing which has really not surprised me, but certainly not disappointed me, is the likes of Seamus Coleman, Ashley Young, Tarkovsky. Those boys have been fantastic, and they remind me a lot of the old boys, Landon, because the other night we were at Brentford. We hadn't played so well in the first half, and before I had get in the door, Ashley Young was digging the players out, not coming up to standards and not at it. And there was nobody getting annoyed with them, or nobody worry. And that was it. I think we all know we're all trying to drive for success, and quite often we have to challenge each other to do that.
I just want to tell a story because it came right to my mind. So my first week ever in 2010. So I'm there, I train a few days. For some probably not smart reason, you decide to put me in the team at Arsenal away.
It snowed. I remember the game.
The snow.
And snow.
And so we play the game, and I come off after 70 minutes. We played, I thought, pretty well, but they ended up equalizing right at the end. And so I'm still thinking, here, this stupid, naive American, I'm like, drew away at Arsenal. Like, what a great result. And I get into the locker room, and you weren't even in there yet, Gaffer. And Phil and Tim Cahill, Tim Howard, they were going off on this unacceptable, and I was like, "Oh, what the?" And you came in, you didn't even have to say a word because it was the exact same thing. And then I thought in my head, did they just come in and do that so the Gaffer wouldn't get after us because he's going to kill us if he did? So I thought they were a bit clever too, but it was the same thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's interesting because you talk about the culture, and I remember, and I saw this recently with your West Ham team, or at least it felt like it on the outside. One thing for our audience to know is we'd go into meetings, and whether that be in the dressing room or in the video room, and the amount of times, because this is how you built the football club, the amount of times you'd say to us, I brought you here. I brought every single one of you here. And even the ones I didn't bring here, I went to the board and I told them, give you a contract extension. You're my players. Yeah. And so it was always this case of building the camaraderie within the team and to not let each other down. And that's a huge testament to you. When you brought me to the club, you were young. You were a young manager, and then there was so many great British managers. But now, because you stood the test of time, you're more than a manager. You're a statesman, and you're one of the winningest managers in Premier League history. And one thing that I think the most important question that is on the tip of my tongue is, look, Pep Guardiola has ruined football. He's brilliant, but he's ruined football because he's allowed every manager in the world to think, I can play with a false nine. I can play inside the 6-yard box. Yeah. And managers now are doing it to failure. They're losing their jobs because they're sticking to an ideology that doesn't work for them. And so I when I reference you, Gaffer, I always say David Moyes wins football matches. And I don't know his tactics. It doesn't matter his tactics. He wins football matches. And you've consistently done that. You've seen this evolution of coaching. You've seen coaches go by the wayside because they're trying to be somebody else. You've obviously evolved tactically in different situations, but how have you stayed true to yourself?
It's a really good question, Tim, and the idea, because look, I get asked all the time, what's your philosophy? How do you work? And I've always come back to say, well, I need to win. I need to find a way of winning. And nowadays there's some brilliant young coaches out there. I have to say, there's some great coaches with some great ideas, but I don't know if it lasts all the time. And obviously, depending on what type of group of players you get, if you really want to be a coach, you're going to have to work with the players you've got. You're going to have to find your way of how you get the best results with them. Who can play best in the best position, who's more liable to score more goals, all the simple things. But I have to say, there is some tactical elements of the game which is completely changed my thinking. We're now seeing centre-halves coming out with the ball, putting their foot in the ball and standing in the ball. And there's a saying at the moment that centre-halves, for example, become the new number 10s in football. Because they nearly have to play in the 6-yard box. They nearly need to make the passes through the lines. They need to then do all the defending jobs as well. So for some strange reason, the world of football is changed in so many elements. I don't know about you boys. For some of them, I really don't like it, and in some ways, it's not making the game as exciting as what it was.
Agreed.
But there is other elements where I have to say there's some really, really great young tactical coaches out there who are doing a good job. Will they be in the job for 20, 30 years? Who knows?
Yeah.
That's the question. And hopefully longevity, from my point, is the proof that, if you can find a ways of trying to get results and get good players and try and treat them right, then hopefully you can get good results.
Yeah, in the end, that's what it's about, right? I mean, you have to get results. So,
Of course.
just the last couple questions. You're very gracious to take time with us. We know you're busy, Gaffer. I'm just curious. For me, I only spent a few months there twice in my life, but what's it like now knowing that this is the last season at Goodison? Because there's nowhere in the world like that for me, and I haven't experienced all you guys have. But what's it like going through these last few matches?
Oh, it's been awesome. It really has been. The crowd have been so good. I mean, the derby we had, and we've got a derby coming up. With the derby we had, I thought, my goodness, I've been unfortunate that I've had two Liverpool games. As I've come in as manager, and I have to play against a team who are top of the league and look as if they're going to win the Premier League. But we played ever so well in the first game against them. The atmosphere was like I'm going to say like the old days. And I don't just mean our era. I think the era before, when the great Everton teams played. There's something special about Goodison. There's something really old about Goodison. I remember when I joined Landon, they were always talking, Bill Kenwright and Sir Philip Carter, where could we move to a new stadium? What could we do? Where are we going to go? And it was only after I had left quite a while where it came to fruition that they got a new stadium built. The new stadium, as you've probably seen, looks immense. What we need to do is turn it into the new Goodison, really, the crowd. I'm sure they will do, because it's something what the supporters here have been hoping for so long, and it looks such an iconic stadium in the city. I think I hope it will help us develop and grow. And over the next year or two, we've got to try and get the team back up challenging again.
I mean, there's no doubt that football club has to move forward, and a new stadium does that, right? And the stadium looks brilliant. It's incredible. And look, Goodison will never go away. Goodison has a place entrenched in our hearts and in the fans' hearts. Spurs have transitioned really well to a new stadium. Arsenal transitioned really well. Your former team, West Ham, not so. The stadium was built for something other than football, but teams do it. And I just I'm curious as to what's the emotional sense you're feeling around the club and around the city. Are the fans excited for it and sad to leave, or what's the balance of things?
Well, my feeling is that they're all really looking forward to moving to the new stadium. But I think there's a real feeling now about, if you think of the players, and I know that you two have graced it, you think of the managers, you think over the years, go so far back. There was World Cup games played there. There was all sorts of games played at Goodison. The amount of footballers and the amount of football managers who've all been there, it's now going to be taken away. It's not going to be there anymore. And I think for the people of the generations now who can come to the game, I mean, the games are rammed at the moment. I daren't imagine what the last game of the season is going to look like. With people and sort of the nostalgic feel about it. But look, the supporters have been great, and I have to mention that there's been loads of groups of the American supporter branches been over as well. As we know, we've been coming over for years, and the branches are growing greatly in America as well. And a big thank you to all them as well for the ones who've travelled over.
The American supporters groups are just incredible.
They're
As you said, started with Brian McBride and then myself and Landon, and really the People's Club has become America's club too. So we're really proud of that, and obviously looking forward to having you all here in the summer. Again, like Landon said, thank you for your time. You're so gracious, just such a wonderful, friend, mentor, father figure, but more than anything, just an incredible icon of the game. So we're appreciative that you took the time for.
Well, I have to say, you wouldn't. I mean, for me to sort of say what my thoughts are on you two and Brian. So I say it, I think that the three of you are probably three of the finest American players which I've ever played. I don't think there's many more better, that's for sure. And I'm actually praising myself for even having yous at different times, because actually picking good players, and even going to the States at that time. There wasn't that many boys from the States who were coming over at that time, and it was just great to have you boys. And actually, hopefully, in some ways it opened up, like you're talking about the supporters branches in America now. You think how it starts, and it takes time for that to build up. But it's great to see that both of you and Brian as well have gone on to do great things and continue to do great things. Maybe this podcast is not one of them, but
it's amazing. Number one podcast in America, Gaffer. Don't worry about that.
But it's great to see you both.
Cheers.
Last question, Gaffer, before we let you get out of here. Who was your favorite right-sided American footballer ever?
Oh my goodness!
There's not been many. There's
There's only been one.
Landon, Landon, and I mean, I think when there was periods where Ozzy played off the right for us, off the left, and there's so many good players, and the biggest thing is Landon. Most of them pop in to see me somewhere, whether they've been at West Ham recently or now at Everton. We're seeing a few, and obviously it also says a little bit about how we all felt about each other. And
Amen.
I've still got a saying, Landon and Tim, that when it's all over and we get a beer together, we get a bit of dinner together, that's the important thing. And
absolutely,
because it goes very quickly, whatever we're doing.
It does.
Amen. Well, look forward to doing it again soon, Gaffer.
Hope so. Look forward to see you both soon.
Thank you so much.
Good luck the rest of the season.
Cheers,
Thank
lads.
you.